Movies with two protagonists are rare. There still are some, but even in this exclusive niche, 1995's Heat still feels unique. Heat is the only movie that makes the audience feel that they are watching two separate movies at the same time. This is not by chance, there is a strong evidence that writer and director Michael Mann actually wanted us to feel this way. It is supported not only by screenplay and character arcs as you would expect, but in the editing and cinematography as well. And this last point especially is unique to Heat only, as far as I'm concerned, and it is so subtle and easy to miss, even after multiple rewatches. We are going to discuss all this. We are getting started with the writing, highlighting how Neil and Vincent perfectly contrast and mirror each other at the same time. Then we are going to discuss how editing and cinematography provide much needed depth for making the hits the way it is. Fellow film enthusiasts, we are going to demonstrate how Michael Mann managed to put two separate movies into a single hit. Spoilers ahead.
It's that or we both better go do something else, pal.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Of course, the biggest part of the duality are the characters and writing around them. No matter how heliocentric both Al Pacino and Robert De Niro feel as actors, it's the screenplay that should make you feel that they are equal and we are not on anybody's side. Michael Mann could have chosen so much easier route. We could have just got cop's perspective or criminal's perspective. There are plenty of such movies on both ends of the spectrum in the crime genre. But Michael Mann decided to show us both perspectives in equal parts. And not only that, but he decided to make the two protagonists, Neil and Vincent, very similar yet very different.
So you never wanted a regular type life?
The fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games?
At the start of the movie, Neil is a leader of the crew. Calm, strategic, ruthless, man of the few words. Even his threats are in a calm demeanor.
What am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone.
I don't understand.
Because there was a dead man on the other end of this fucking line.
Vincent, the decorated cop, perfectly contrasts him. He's super energetic, impulsive, chatty, and empathetic. But at the same time, they are similar as well. Both command respect and subordination by default, both are very determined and highly focused on their jobs. Neil is a recluse, isolated into his work and his half-empty distant apartment, cautious with strangers, struggling with intimacy and commitment. Neil doubles down and finds peace into his lonely, isolated life, never gets around to do anything outside his job, as he says.
And you're gonna get some furniture.
When I get around to it.
You're gonna get an old lady.
When I get around to it.
Vincent tries to go against the current instead. He gets into marriages that he cannot support, is confident in socializing, he is passionate in lawmaking with his wife, and is more of a parent to his stepdaughter than any of her biological parents.
What happened? You forget your mom was picking you up?
Felt like being alone.
Over the course of the story, Vincent and Neil go into different directions, almost perfectly mirroring each other. Neil finally opens up to somebody, getting intimate with Edie. He seeks out commitment, includes other people into his endgame, probably first time ever.
Take off with me for a while.
Where?
New Zealand.
Under the pressure to make the dream become reality, he betrays discipline. He takes chances, leaves businesses unfinished, goes with half-baked plans against the ticking clock. Vincent's personal life crumbles down. He does not have anything left other than his work. He really becomes what he is going after.
All I am is what I'm going after.
In the terrific parallel scenes, both cops and robbers go to the restaurant with their crews and families. Neil is the only lone passenger in his crew, and seeing his comrades happy with their wives and kids act as a catalyst for him to commit to Edie. Vincent is in the restaurant with his wife, just like all of his co-workers, yet he is the only one from his crew who goes to the crime scene when the duty calls. Vincent can be just another happily married cop, but instead he is unhappily married to his job. Neil is the only one that invokes true emotions in him. His story can only end in the confrontation. And the quote-unquote confrontation happens early, exactly at the midpoint. In unusual circumstances as well, in a calm, crowded coffee shop. Instead of the Mexican standoff, they get a passionate conversation. Still jabbing with mild threats.
If it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
What if you do got me boxed in? Then I gotta put you down.
but ultimately embracing the unexpected connections that they share. This coffee shop date is initiated by Vincent, and it's clearly framed as an emotional choice, not something dictated by standard police work. He decides to go after Neil when he realizes how little there is left from his marriage and how empty his life is outside of Neil's case. Coffee shop scene is followed up by the perfect rising action, one of the finest in all of cinema. Right after that, in the consecutive scenes, robbers cut loose of their tails, prepare the bank for the heist, rob the bank, escaping with money while losing Charito, Breeden and Trejo in the perfect shootout scene, working on the escape routes, all the while Neil brings vengeance over everyone involved with the betrayal. The emotional climax goes to max for Neil when he needs to address Edie's sudden realization of who he truly is. He tries to play it cool at first,
Get back, let's go.
but realizes that it's not gonna work and really takes time with her, ultimately convincing her to go with him when he truly opens up about his genuine feelings.
There's no point in me going anywhere anymore. If it's gonna be alone.
Vincent is agitated all throughout the chase. He loses his friend Bosco during the bank shootout, his marriage finally falls down as he finds his wife cheating, and in the brilliant scene with the TV set, he does not even allow himself to show the true cause of his anger to his wife.
You know, you can ball my wife if she wants you to. You can lounge around here on her sofa, but you do not get to watch my fucking television set.
But he finds peace, or at least enlightenment, in the chase. He personally kills Charito during the street shootout, he himself goes after the informants that tipped about the bank robbery, all the while his entire crew is working on all the potential leads. After almost a full day of the hyperactive chase, Vincent gives up.
Neil is gone. Vincent, how do you know? Bon voyage, motherfucker. You were good.
He lets go of the obsession over the case and is rewarded as he finds his stepdaughter in the hotel room, barely alive after she attempted suicide. Vincent manages to rescue her, delivering her to the hospital just in time, and shares maybe the most genuine, fulfilling conversation with his wife in the whole movie. When the duty calls, he even considers rejecting it, still offering his wife the comfort of the company. Vincent only leaves when Justin pushes for it.
Well, go on if you have to.
And we only see his true inner turmoil in the moment when he turns the corner and Justin no longer sees him. In the perfect contrast to this, Neil does the opposite. It's almost a miracle that everything works out for Neil. He manages to take revenge over Vincent, he confronts Trejo with the wild plans, only to offer medical assistance to him and ultimately mercy kill him.
Don't leave it like this, Neil. Please, Holmes.
And he even somehow persuades Edie to go with him to New Zealand, even if she has just found out that Neil is a notorious robber and a killer. All this luck, and he still cannot contain himself when Wingro's whereabouts are found out.
Guy you wanted checked into the hotel marquee under Jameson if you still give a shit. Which I figured you wouldn't.
You figured right.
Edie is not even in the equation for him anymore. At first he sought to pass it and enjoy the freedom with her, but then Neil goes through a long tunnel, and in a perfect metaphor, he gets tunnel vision and decides to go for Vengro on the contrary to all rational thoughts. The burden of the leader, the guilt over the deaths of Charito, Trejo and Breeden are weighing down hard on his shoulders, despite his beliefs that
My friend, Michael. You knew the risk, you didn't have to be there.
he cannot enjoy the algae light in Fiji when his comrades are dead because of him not managing to kill Wengro earlier. Neil killing Wengro in the hotel room is probably his finest work as a criminal.
Yeah, this is room service. Jameson ordered a BLT and they screwed up his room number. Could you give it to me, please?
1735.
Thank you.
And the most satisfying moment of the entire film.
Look at me.
But it does not end without the cost. Neil twice mentioned having to leave everything and everyone in 30 seconds if he felt the heat.
Don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner.
and in the climactic moment of his life, Heat was there, right around the corner. The movie is remembered mostly for the epic shootout in Los Angeles streets, but the climax is much more personal, just the two guys going after each other with everything that they have. In the battle of the two, Vincent kills Neil, but still offers him comfort in the final minutes. A fitting end to both of their stories, based on their character arcs and their choices in the critical moments. Heat could have been a story with just one dominant perspective, and it still would have been a good, possibly even a great movie. But Vincent Hanna and Neil McCauley were two perfect sides of the same coin, and their character arcs were so much uplifted with the contrast and fulfillment from each other. As mentioned, the feel of the two movies meshed into one is not supported only by screenplay, but the cinematography and editing as well. This is hinted even in the opening titles, when Robert De Niro and Al Pacino's names are displayed together at the same time, while all the rest of the main cast are named separately one by one. The question, which character or actor is more important to the movie, is just impossible to answer. Even the order of the scene speaks for itself. Very high-paced initial heist scene is interrupted with a glance into Vincent's personal life, because Vincent's arc does not start with the Macaulay's bail bond heist. He is a real person with real wants and needs in the life long before he crosses paths with Neil and the crew, and the movie demonstrates that right away. The choice of shots in the important scenes also underline how Neil McCauley and Vincent Hanna are equally important. If Pacino gets a close-up, so does De Niro. If there is a slow-mo shot for Neil, so is for Vincent, etc. But probably the biggest factor that really distinguishes Heat from any other story with two protagonists lies within cinematography, and I can proudly say that I discovered this myself at the age of 14 or 15. In my early teens, I was big on screenshots and have held a handful of beautiful shots/frames from every movie that I loved. Heat being one of them, my 14-year-old self desperately hunted for a good shot where both De Niro and Pacino would be present and in focus, and I found none. Because there is not a single shot in almost 3-hour-long movie where both Vincent and Neil are together in the same shot, both from the front or side and in focus. Yes, you heard it right, none. There is this picture that used to be tossed around the internet, but this is not a shot from the movie. This is just a photo from the set. There is no wide establishing shot in the coffee shop scene, because there is nothing to establish. At every minute, in every scene, in every shot, we are either in Vincent's movie or Neil's movie, and they can beautifully coexist, creating final product for Heat together. Just like the impossibility to put Pacino or De Niro ahead or above the other one in the opening title, Mann thought there was no shot big enough to handle both Neil McCauley and Vincent Hanna focused in them. This is the actual closest shot of both characters being present and in focus in a single shot. You can tell that my 14-year-old self never really found anything of significance in Heat frames to post on social media. And of course there is last shot of the movie, Vincent holding Neil's hand, facing a certain future, while Neil is dying out in front of the eyes of the audience. There are so many great things about Heat. One of the most well-acted movies with two of the Hollywood's finest in their primes, beautiful set pieces which feel modern even now almost 30 years after being shot, the memorable score with each track complementing corresponding scenes on a perfect level, an epic shootout probably the best in the history of cinema, but ultimately his greatness for me comes down to Michael Mann's insistence of Heat being the two protagonist story. Almost two separate movies meshed together, which is supported by the screenplay and cinematography alike. You can tell that Heat was a passion project for Michael Mann, perfecting his earlier TV failure on a big screen in sort of a remake. This video has also been a passion project for me. Hope you have enjoyed this breakdown on my channel, looking forward to share more with you, fellow film enthusiasts. In the meantime, if you enjoy movies with two protagonists, click on the video on your screen.
Bon voyage, motherfucker. I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna sleep for a month.